I was in the office yesterday, made a seller call, and had about a 30-minute conversation with the seller. And the guy was what we call a yellow seller. Like, he just kept blabbering on and on and on and on and on. And I needed him to do that. Like I needed to be patient with him, because if I was not patient with him, I would have broke the bond. Now, some people need you got to just like really know how to play these situations out, because some people you really have to interject like sooner than later. For this person, I really had to be patient because of his circumstance. His wife passed away. He's going through it at work. He's going through financial troubles and stuff like that. I had to really kind of let him vomit all that stuff out. So I was very patient. But every single time I saw a little window and I should have recorded the freaking call. It was a really good call. Every single time there was a point where I could interject, I made sure I did that. And when I did it, I made sure that that question that I asked was the most efficient and important question to ask in that exact time to push the ball forward. Because I already know the thing that I need, right? I already know the whole process. I already know, the steps and the buckets and the 8-step sales process that I need. It's already internalized. So once you have that internalized, that's when you're a sniper, and through the conversation, you know when to interject, you know when to pause, you know when to ask the question, you know when that is supposed to be done, and you know what question to ask. But the thing that prevents us from doing that is when we're stuck. And this happens like when you're in the first like 6 months of sales. Like, dude, you're going through the motions. You're trying to figure out the questions to ask. You're trying to figure out your flow. You're trying to figure out all this. But then, like, as you have to get to if you're going to get to the next level, you have to look at those 6 months as, hey, I'm going through this to figure out how to internalize the process. So after that 6 months, and I'm not saying it's 6 months for everybody, but like after you get through that phase of going through the process and internalizing your process, the next phase of being a closer is internalizing it so that you can be very precise with your questions. Because if you're not, you're just wasting a ton of time. Like, dude, really quick, that conversation that I had yesterday went on for 30 minutes. If I was not precise and efficient with the way that I was asking my questions, that conversation would have went for probably an hour and a half. That is not good. Right. That's not good, because think about it. As salespeople, our time, this is kind of cliche to say, but our time is money. Right? If I'm spending an hour and 30 minutes on a call, I promise you I could have stayed on the phone with that guy for an hour and 30 minutes. He was just hanging out. He just got off of work. He loved to chat. He was a lonely dude. But I needed to be very precise. So I let him vomit the things that he needed to vomit out. And every single time there was a small inflection point where I could just pull the trigger and ask a question and interject, I asked it. But when I did it, it wasn't some BS question that didn't lead to anywhere. It was a question that I really needed answered to.
It was a sniper question.
It was a sniper question. And I already knew that question. Like, let's just say he would go on for about 2.5 minutes of just talking about his past or something like that, or what he's going through right now. And while he's doing that, I'm listening to a point, right? Like I'm actively listening, especially to the most important pieces. But I'm also mapping out what I'm going to ask next. Because the thing that I ask next is so important. And if I fail to ask the right question, then I'm going to extend that call another 30 minutes. You know what I mean?
The other extreme is you say this guy could have been an hour call. On the other side, it's with the call I just had this morning where you think it's going great, but you still have to think about it like it's that hourglass where you flip it over and the sand is, you don't, because it could be like, the conversation could be going great. You're getting all the pertinent information, but then all of a sudden the guy goes, "Oh my God, I gotta go. I gotta go back to work." Boom. And then because you thought you had plenty of time and it was going well, you didn't get to all your questions. Now, this guy who was perfectly polite, totally engaged and looking to do the deal, he has to go because he's at work. So, so at the same time, you got to have those sniper conversations. Don't let it just become a casual conversation.
Yes, dude. This is not. Oh, that's actually really good. By the way, welcome to the BluePrint podcast, everybody. We're here to talk about all things business, all things kingdom, all things sales, all things wholesale and real estate, doing the thing, talking about all the things. I'm actually excited today because we're going to celebrate the foundation of BluePrint. We launched BluePrint about a year and some change ago, maybe like a year and 3 months ago or something. And the foundation is sales. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about sales. And we're celebrating July 4th. So we're doing a 50% off of the BluePrint mentorship. So that's what we're here to celebrate. And we're going to talk about sales, which is the foundation of BluePrint today. But anyways, what up, gang? Wanted to take a quick sec to thank you for tuning in to the BluePrint podcast. If you did not know already, this podcast is recorded live with our free real estate community, where people are able to chat in the side chat, ask me questions, hang out with each other. They also have access to the free Facebook group and a bunch of different other tools. But if you want to be a part of that free community, I need you to go to wholesalewithmike.com or hit the link below. Let's get back to the pod. To get back to the topic, me and Brendan were just chopping it up here in the VO before we started the podcast, and we're talking about deals and all that type of stuff. And for those of you who are just joining, we were just talking about a couple of deals that we're working on this week and how the gray areas in our conversations will lead to us not having control in the sale, which is the most important thing. Because when you don't have control, you don't know what the heck is. Think about this. The worst thing in the world, if you are driving a car, is to lose control. That's when you crash. You don't know where the heck you're going. How do you get to your destination if you don't have control? Like, you need control. You need control of the conversation. And in order to have control, you got to know all the things. Like, think about this. In a car, you got to know all the gadgets. You got to know how to put the car in drive. You got to know how to turn the blinker on. You got to know how to turn the wheel. You got to know how to do all these things, right? If you get in the car and there's a gray area, and put it this way, I don't know how to drive a standard. Like, the cars, it's like, like the shifter things. This is how much this is how much I can tell you I don't know about cars. Whatever the heck the shifter thing's called. The gears, right? If I hopped in one of those cars, there would be a lot of gray areas on how the heck I would drive that thing. And it would be very hard for me to get to my destination. And it's the same thing in a conversation, in sales. If we don't know the right questions to ask, if we don't have the right tools, if we don't have the right skill sets, and there are gray areas in that conversation, it's going to be very hard for you to control the outcome of what needs to happen in order for a deal to get done. So that's what we're talking about here. And so Brendan, to what me and Brendan were just talking about is being in control of the time. Actually, I'm not going to say that because we are in control of the time. We have to realize that we don't have time to waste. So we have to be in control of how much time we spend on the phone. I did a competition about, what was the Closers Octagon? That was probably, like 3 months ago? No, more than that. Almost a half a year ago or something now. And in the competition, in round 2, there was a 6-minute role play. Okay, so you had 6 minutes. This is how it worked. Somebody would be a seller. They would have a circumstance already drafted up. Like, hey, person's going through foreclosure. They had this person pass away in their family. They lost their job. Like, this whole full-blown story and a whole list of circumstances that the seller was going through. Somebody would pretend to be that lead. And the closer that was calling that lead, doing the role play, their job was to get as much information from them, from that list, as possible in 6 minutes. So you only had 6 minutes to do it. And even me, in the beginning, I literally had to practice this because it's not an easy thing to do, to get all that information in 6 minutes. I start practicing, and dude, I'm getting like only half of the information for the first couple role plays, right? So I had to practice that, and then what I realized is, even though you can complain about it and be like, oh, well, a 6 minute role play isn't realistic. It's not enough time. Like, yeah, I guess it's not too realistic, but at the end of the day, you can do a lot of damage in 6 minutes. Like, if you are very efficient with the way that you were asking your questions, you can do a lot. Like, I want you guys to think about this. Let's just say you hop on a seller call and you literally only have 7 minutes until your next meeting. And that is a very important meeting. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You have to be in that meeting. You are going to do whatever it takes. And let's just play this situation out. You know that you're not going to be able to talk to the seller for another week or two after this conversation. You are going to be as efficient as possible in those 7 minutes to get as much information so that there's no gray areas and there's a lot of clarity in that 7 minutes. So we need to be in control of that. So it goes two ways. We can be in control of when we know we have a time constraint. This could be because we are actually super busy. This could be that the seller is actually busy. What Brendan was just talking about is he was talking to a seller who is working right now at a car dealership. He owns a car dealership. He has a super busy Saturday, like whatever. So he doesn't have much time, and he knows that going in. So Brendan, when Brendan hops on the phone and he's in the first like 3 minutes, and he finds out that the seller is at work and he has a full car lot of a bunch of salespeople and customers coming in, and he doesn't really have too much time. That's an indicator to Brennan to be like, dude, you cannot waste time on this call. You got to be very efficient with your questions. Like you gotta really be diligent. So we're not sitting here just kind of, shooting the shit and hanging out. Like, no, dude, we gotta be on it, right? We gotta be about our business. For maybe the only 8 minutes that we have, because maybe we might not talk to this guy for another week, or maybe who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen? So you got to be as efficient as possible on the ball. So there's that scenario where you have a time constraint. And then there's another scenario where the seller is going to give you all the time in the world. These are like the grandmothers that are lonely that would sit on the phone with you for 2 hours. This could be a person that that is, that their spouse just passed away or something like that, and they want to talk to somebody for like 3 hours straight, right? That person, you got to realize you got to do the opposite. You got to be so efficient with your questions so that conversation does not go 3 hours long. And they could go 3 hours long. I've been on how many times, Brendan, have we been in the VO? Brendan will like unmute on a call. Every single time, by the way. It's an old lady. I don't know what the heck Brendan has his way with these old ladies. I would think like 95% of Brendan's deals came from an old lady. Doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know what the heck he's doing, but anyways,
Dude, it's called charm.
is that what it is?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Brennan's married, by the way.
I have to fight him off though.
So I'll be in the VO listening to Brendan. I will go like walk a property or something. I'll leave the office and come back 35, 45 minutes later, and he's still on the same call. I'm like, bro, get off that freaking call. What are you doing? Like, how are you still letting this person talk? And they're talking.
Dude, that's an exaggeration though, 45 minutes. But yeah, it's
I'm,
true.
I'm just kidding. And Brendan's much better at that in real time right now.
At one time, maybe that was true though.
As he's working on it, right? And he's gotten much better in that sense because he's been intentionally working on that. Like, as I show that to him, like, bro, you got to realize there's another freaking 50 leads that need to be called in your follow-ups today. We don't have 3 hours to talk to the seller. Like, we got to be efficient. Brendan was like, oh, crap. You're right. So now, this is a skill set that you got to acquire over time. You got to be able to interject without being rude, right? Without over talking them and making them feel like you don't give a crap about them. So you got to be able to interject in the exact right time. So if you go back and you listen to my seller calls, if I'm ever on a seller call with one of these yellow sellers, I'll kind of wait until there's the most perfect pause, and then I'll interject and I'll agree really quick with what the heck they're saying at the moment, and then I'll take the conversation where it needs to be had. That happened yesterday on that call I was just telling you guys about. I had a call for about 30 minutes. I promise you that call could have gone, I could have allowed it to gone an hour and 30 minutes. But dude, I don't have time to sit on the phone with this person for an hour and 30 minutes. I got to be as efficient as possible. So every single time as he was kind of like, just spilling out a bunch of information to me, I'm collecting and actively listening to the most important pieces of information that he's giving me. And at the very right time, I'm interjecting with agreeing and bringing up a new question that brings the ball forward in the sale and gets me the information that I need to know. But in order to do that, I have to already have an internalized process. So I'm doing this like you got to be 10 steps ahead of the seller. It's very hard to do in the beginning when you're just learning, the questions to ask, like what you're trying to do. This is like a next level thing. But if you go back and you listen to like somebody like a Pace Morby, go listen to Pace Morby's calls. And you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Go on YouTube, go type in Pace Morby and sell a call or something, and go listen to a call. He is 20 steps ahead of the seller at all times. He already knows what he's going to say 10 minutes before he says it, because the process is already internalized, but he understands how important it is to be efficient when it comes to his questions. So he's already plotting this 10 minutes ahead of time. You know what I mean? Because that's how important it is. Or else you're going to stay on the phone for an hour and 30 minutes when it really needed to be 30 minutes, and you could have taken that other hour to talk to more leads, which is what we get paid to do. At the end of the day, we get paid to have conversations. So very, very interesting. That's why it's very important, so that there's no gray areas. But at the end of the day, it doesn't start there. It doesn't start with you being 10 steps ahead of the seller. Like, it doesn't start with you being a freaking master with your questions. It starts with just making the calls, right? Making the calls and going through the fire and getting a foundation of what you need to know, right? So, like, I would say there's really three main categories that you want to develop in your sales. And the first category is your mindset. The second category is your process. And the third category is what I call your tools, your sales tools, right? The first thing about mindset, some people are blessed with this right away. Some people already have this, like, just built in them. Some people, it takes some time for them to get comfortable and for them to get their feet wet in order to develop this. But I think one of the biggest mindsets, I would say mindset really breaks down into three categories. The first category is, I'm not taking no for an answer. And you'll see this in your everyday life as well. Like, this isn't just in sales. So all this mindset thing, matter of fact, all of it, all sales training, you'll see it in your everyday life. I say it like this. If you're a human being, then you're in sales. So if you have a heartbeat, you're a human being, you're in sales. That's what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Your job is, actually, Grant Cardone says it like this. You're either selling or you're being sold at all times. So it's like, which side of the spectrum do you want to be on? Now, when it comes to the mindset about it, the first thing, like I said, is just not taking no for an answer. So this is just already going into situations assuming a yes. So we prepare for a no, but we assume a yes. So in every single conversation that we're going into, it's almost like we're treating this like it's our last lead. Like this is the last lead. I have to convert this lead no matter what. I'm going to assume this is going to be the best deal that I ever done in my life. I don't care if this is a follow-up that you've been on for the past 6 months and it's been the same exact conversation over the past 6 months for every single week that you've talked to them. I don't care if this is a fresh new lead. I don't care if the notes from the virtual assistant say, not selling my property for another 3 years, but would entertain an offer if it made sense. Like, I don't care what the circumstances are. Just go into that conversation with the mindset of, there's a yes behind this. And this is going to be the biggest deal that I ever do. Because when you go into it with that mindset, whenever there is friction in the call or whenever there is negativity or even a sign of them not being interested, it's not going to affect you as much as if you had the mindset of, well, like maybe this is going to be a deal. I don't know. I'll call them just to hit my KPIs. Right? Like, nah, dude, we're going to call this person to get a deal. Like, how do we do a deal right now? That's our job. I'm like assuming that I can get a deal done right now on every single call. And what will happen is when these smoke screens come up, because the majority of the time when a seller is not interested or they're talking about their price is high or whatever the case is, if they have some sort of motivation and they're giving you some of these smoke screens, that's all that it is. It's just a smoke screen. And when you get hit with these smoke screens with a poor mindset, you're going to fall victim to it. And the smoke screen is going to get to you and you're not going to be able to get through them. But if you already have the mindset of like, oh no, I just know that there's a yes behind the smoke screen, then you're just going to get right through it. And you're going to get the deal over everybody else. Because, dude, like, especially people calling. I want you guys to think about this. The majority of people calling, these homeowners that we're calling, are VAs. Now, I have nothing against VAs. I love my VAs. But they're VAs. They're newbie wholesalers that are just trying to like cold call their list. And like they just, my point is they don't have too much training and too many skill sets. So the majority of people calling them, when they get hit with these smoke screens, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. I'm going to look through my phone right now. I filled out I applied for a credit card this week. And I filled out like an idiot my phone number on the thing. And I've been getting hit with these spam likely calls for the past week. I literally have, over the course of the last day, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5. But if I ever answer one of those and somebody and I could tell that the person that I was talking to was really qualified and I can like have a full-blown conversation with them, I might stick on the phone. But if I get on the phone with them, I'm giving them a smoke screen right away regardless. Yeah, hey man, I'm not busy. I'm busy at the moment. Can you give me a call back? If they hit me back with some fire, like I can tell that they're qualified, like they might be able to help my situation out, I'm going to stick on the phone with them. But the majority of them are just going to be like, all right, cool, thank you, I'll call you back, bye. Because they just don't know what the heck they're doing. They don't have that skill set yet. So if you guys develop the skill set, you'll be put over everybody else that's calling. Because I'm telling you, everybody else that's calling gets hit with these smoke screens, and they let the smoke screen have their way, and they lose. But it's the mindset going into it. Even though we have, you're gonna get told no a million times. Even though that is the case, if we go into every single conversation assuming that it's not going to be a no, then whatever. Then like you are going to, you're going to see your conversion rate go through the roof. So that's the first part of mindset. The second part of the mindset is doing this with confidence and optimism. Right? I think we can combine the both. Confidently optimistic. I think that's how we could say it. Because that shows through your call, right? Like when we bring that energy to the table, like both of those combined, confidence and optimism, that's people want to do business with that. Because people want to do business with two different people. They want to do business with people that they like, which is important in my opinion, and it makes asking questions much easier, and it makes controlling the conversation much easier. But more importantly, they want to do business with somebody that is confident and somebody that they feel that is confidently going to get the deal done, right? So when you combine the both, like somebody that is optimistically confident, that combination together is like unmatched. So if we can go in with that mindset, like, hey, I'm confident that I'm going to get this deal done for this person, and I'm going to do it with the best energy possible. That is a person that somebody wants to do business with, and it's going to be much easier to ask you questions. It's going to be much easier to control the conversation. Brennan, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say that's a good point, because when you're on the phone with a property owner, the opposite of coming off as confident and optimistic is kind of like um, doubtful and negative. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to move forward at all with someone doubtful and negative, because the confidence and optimism tells that person, all right, this person will succeed, will help me succeed. That's the main bottom line.
Yes, and that is the worst. The worst. For me, as a prospect, as me as like somebody going to buy something, I cannot stand when I call somebody and I'm trying to get something done and they're just off rip giving me the vibes that they're not going to be able to get something done. It's the absolute worst. Like, for example, um,
The
I've
bank,
had,
the bank transfer.
yeah, that too. I like that example. To bring it to real estate though, I've dealt with people like dispo people that will be super negative about a deal. And it's their job, right? It's their job to like run the numbers and everything. So it's their job to be um, positive. I mean, no, like to run their numbers in a way that's going to be responsible. And actually, I like it because that makes sure that we're running our numbers and stuff. But what I can't stand is if I hop on the phone with somebody and I'm like, "Hey, I have a deal." This is why I hate running dispo. I have a deal. What do you think about it? And they're talking about all the worst things about the deal. Oh no, don't like the deal. Da, 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 da. I was like, all right, bro. Like, I'll move on to the next person. like, like that's the worst, the absolute worst. I had a guy. I referred somebody over to a property that, by the way, this is crazy. We have a property under contract at $231,000. I was going to just dispo it to somebody for $250,000. Okay, they were going to purchase the property from us at $250,000. They were going to flip it. ARV is like $525,000. Needs about $100K to maybe $125 in work. It's a deal for a fix and flipper, like 100% a deal. And the dude that I referred it to is working with a lender that I know has this energy off rip, has the just negative energy off rip. Anything you send him, oh, no, not a deal, not just because of this. And I was like, bro, all right, well, I'm going to give you a shot at it, but I already know how this guy works. I already know this guy's freaking the most negative Nancy person in the world, and it's just not going to, like, I really don't like doing business with this guy, but whatever, we'll try it. So we send it over to him. Dude walks the property immediately when he gets to the property. Oh, yeah, no, probably not a deal. No, like, dude doesn't even get inside of the property. He's like, yeah, numbers, they might not work here. I don't know about this. It got to the point, I was like, bro, like, forget it. We'll go with somebody else. Dude, we sold the deal like $30,000 over where that person was going to be anyway, with another hard money lender. Like I did not need that, but like, I don't need that crap. I'd rather just not even do a deal. So if you bring that energy to the table, automatically the person that you're talking to is like, bro, not, like, I'm good. I even caught myself on remember that appointment in Leominster that I had to go to a couple weeks back? Yes. I caught myself. I had to stop myself because I get in there, right? And I'm starting the sales process. I really haven't talked to this guy yet. Haven't had a full-blown conversation with him up to this point. But I get there. I do my usual walkthrough appointment style. And we get to the point where we're walking inside the property. And I'm about 5 minutes into the conversation at this point. And the first thing that he says to me as we like are walking through the living room is, oh yeah, we're going to have to, you guys are going to have to save the wood paneling on the walls. And I'm like, All right, well, what do you mean by that? He's like, well, when you guys close on the property and start doing demo and stuff, I need you guys to rip this wood paneling down and save it for me. And immediately in my mind, I'm like, yeah, that's not happening. But I said that to him. I'm like, oh yeah, we're not going to make that happen. That's exactly what I told him. Immediately, he was like, oh yeah, then this deal isn't going to work for us. Like he already, all the doubts start creeping in him, in his brain. I only met him for about 5 minutes up to that point. So like to bring some negativity to the table just didn't even make any sense. It's just not a battle that I should have fought at that moment. Right? Granted, we're not going to close on the property and take down the freaking wood paneling and give it to him. Because at the end of the day, it's like, what the heck? Like the demo guys can destroy the things and then it's on like, nah, dude, if you want to keep the wood paneling, take it off before we close. I'm cool with that. That's fine. But we'll work that out later. It was just the wrong time to do that, and in the wrong way that it came off, because I came off from the point of like, oh yeah, we're not going to be able to do that, and then immediately he shifted gears. Like he was so excited to meet me and so excited about the process, but right when I was negative about it, everything started shifting, and it was like he didn't want to. It was almost like he didn't want to do the deal. And then I had to stop myself, and I was just like, all right, no problem. We'll figure that out in a little bit. And then we started walking the property, and I shifted gears to be more optimistic about things. But I want you guys to think about that. Last time that you guys were in a store or you needed something from your insurance company or a bank or whatever, and you talk to the salesperson or the person taking your order or whatever it is, and they immediately start telling you how they can't do the thing for you. Like, dude, that's the worst. I'll just get out the damn restaurant. I'll get out the store. Like, I'll go somewhere else. So if we can bring that confident optimism to the table, that's what people want to do a deal with. And then my favorite one of the three characteristics when it comes to mindset is doing this business with integrity. Just having integrity. Doing all those, and that is not an easy thing to do. Because I know some salespeople are killers. I know salespeople that could talk themselves out of handcuffs. That's how good they are at talking very fast. They will make you make a decision just by having a very smooth, swift conversation, quick, bop, 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 bop. All of a sudden, you walk out the store and you bought something for $1,000 you were never thinking about buying before. All of a sudden, you walk off the car lot with a car that you cannot afford. All of a sudden, like those type of salespeople, they're really, really good at influencing people to make decisions. But what they're doing is not what they're selling without integrity. Right? Go ahead.
Those decisions that the seller's making may not be in their best interest, and you may know that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You're trying to persuade them to make a decision that's not in their best interest, and that's not integrity.
Yes, that's manipulation. And this is why I really hammer this home. Because me as a sales trainer, right, like my job is to teach how to sell and teach how to convert contracts and teach how to make money and influence people and all that stuff. But the Bible talks about this. The power of life and death lies in your tongue. So as you are sharpening your sword, as you're sharpening your skill set when it comes to talking and influencing people with your words, it can be used for the bad. And that's not good. That's how powerful sales is. Like you can like literally through your tongue, you have the power of life and death. That is crazy. So it's so important for us to hammer home the integrity part, because if we don't, all of a sudden we're listening to the wrong people. Actually, this is insane. I used to do this, bro. Like when I was first learning sales, I was learning from a bunch of different salespeople, and I didn't even know. I just thought that it was regular. I started coming up with stories and lying to sellers and doing all these things and like breaking my integrity because I'm listening to the people that are selling and they are doing the same exact thing. And it kind of seemed like it was an okay thing that they were doing, but realistically, it wasn't. They're lying. They're straight up manipulating people. And I'm like, dude, holy crap. So I would say 7 months back or something like that, we literally had to change a lot of things in the 8 step sales process that we originally started BluePrint with because there was some forms of manipulation in the process. And I was like, nah, bro, like I want to wipe us clear of that type of stuff. I want to be able to, yes, be freaking ninjas and negotiate like the best people that could possibly negotiate and do this with integrity at the same time. Those are the three main things. If you can nail those things down when it comes to mindset, you're going to be just fine in the sales department. Now, the next category is a sales process. I'm not going to go through our 8 step sales process. We actually have videos on YouTube. If you just type in Mike Gomes 8 step sales process, you'll see what the 8 step sales process is. There's a few videos that I've done on it. But a sales process is important. It's not the end all be all. And I think a lot of sales trainers are like pumping up sales processes because that is what their sales training is built off of, which is cool because the sales process is important, but we're not robots, right? And I think a lot of trainers in the industry are teaching sales processes as they are just scripts, as they're like, hey, here's steps 1 through 10 that you take on every single call, and this is what you do. That's cool, and actually that works. And if you're going to scale out a team, that might actually be one of the best ways to do it because it's an easier approach. It's like, hey, here's the roadmap, go take it, do it every time. It's going to work, and it's going to work. Like if you have a really good sales process, steps 1 through 10, and it brings the seller through, all the questions that you need answered, and it gets them to sign contracts and stuff, that's good. But at the end of the day, if you are married to that, you're not leveling up as a communicator. And that, in my opinion, is what sales is about. Sales is about communication. I started the podcast off by saying once you get the sales thing down, everything else in your life starts to change. Because if you're a human being, you're in sales. But if we just simply are reading off of a 10-step process or 5-step process or 8-step sales process, it's like, and that's all we're worried about, then our, level of communication isn't really affected. It's just simply a script. Like a robot can do that. AI, at some point, AI is going, I'm going to be able to give AI my 8-step sales process and be like, hey, go ahead. But I'll tell you what, I don't believe, and I had a conversation with my buddy about this the other day. I think AI is going to take a lot of salespeople out because of that, because I'm going to be able to just give somebody, I'm going to be able to plug in the 8-step sales process in an AI thing, and it's going to be able to call people and, ask the right questions. But at the end of the day, I don't think, or at least it's going to take a very long time for AI to get to the point where they can effectively communicate with the top salespeople. Because that takes a human to human connection. Like, how the heck can a robot feel what another human being is feeling? Right? Like that takes a next level of communication that I know at this point AI is not at that point right now. So it's like that's years and years to come. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe AI can get there at some point, but I know if you are a top level communicator, your job isn't going anywhere because you'll be able to get plopped into any city and communicate and influence people to make decisions. So that's my thoughts on that. My buddy was like, nope, AI is taking over the whole entire. He was like, salespeople, haha, salespeople are the first people to go. They're screwed. I'm like, bro, no. Like the top salespeople are going to stay. There's people that make decisions based off of just like numbers and analytics and stuff like that. I'm talking about like there's prospects out there that base their decisions based off of just that. So yes, there are going to be people like in the car industry, the salespeople, like prospects that go in there to onto a car lot and are just like, hey, I just want a Toyota Camry. Here's my payment. Here's this, that, 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 that. And they just plug it in, and it's like they're not really making any decisions based off emotions at all, because there are people that are just like, yo, I just want black and white. Here's the numbers. Like, boom. Salespeople are going to, I mean, AI might take over those people, but there are a lot of people that need to be handheld through transactions. Like, they need emotional support in order to make decisions, or else they're just going to go to the car lot. They're going to get all these numbers from the AI thing, and there's going to be no human to human influence that influences them to make a decision, when realistically it probably is their best case scenario to buy that car right then, right now. Like, that's the car that they want, that's the car that they need, that's the car that's going to help their family out. Like, they need to make that decision, but there's no emotional attachment. I mean, there's no emotional like help when it comes to decision making that's going to influence them to make the decision if it's just an AI, talking back to them. So there's always going to be a space for that, in my opinion.
Like
Go ahead.
there's I won't waste too much time on this idea, but there is a lot of discussion. Maybe you've had it, maybe you haven't, maybe you've heard about it, but the idea that the term artificial intelligence is not the correct name for what we're seeing, because up until now, intelligence or intelligent life form,
Mm-hmm.
that's divine. That takes a creator, that takes God. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so there's no such thing as artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing artificial about intelligence. And so when you discuss it that way, you're never going to get a robot to be as good as a human, because there's no divine intelligence. It's just a creation of humans.
It's artificial.
It's artificial. But
Mm-hmm.
to put it next to intelligence, you know what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, they're calling it artificial intelligence, but that might be a different way to say that, is um, a fake God that we created.
Yeah.
Because intelligence is divine. It's divinity. It's a life form that
Mm.
is created.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't
there's
know.
scripture. No, that makes a lot of sense, bro. There's scripture. Um, I forget where it is. I'm about to bring this up.
Anyway, the point I'm making is
This,
don't give
this,
it
this,
don't give it as much credence. Don't give it as much credence necessarily as some people do, where it's going to be smarter, faster, better, and take over.
I agree. There's scripture that pretty much says wisdom was with God when he first started everything. Like when the earth was made, when there was light, when there were like all the things, there was wisdom in that. Like, wisdom is what produced that. So that makes a lot of sense. It's like, if that is a thing from God, how do we in our own right go ahead and recreate that into something artificial? It's artificial. Artificial. What's the word for artificial?
It would be the
What's the
third
definition for
category of
artificial?
tools.
What's the artificial? What's the definition for artificial? Artificial. Made or produced by human beings rather than occurring naturally. Interesting. Yeah. Anywho, if you understand sales, AI is not going to take your spot. They might take some lead generation. I'll tell you that. But they will not take out the top salespeople. They will not. So good. Now, third category is, well, actually, I didn't really cover too much of the process, but pretty much to sum everything up, a process is very important for what we talked about earlier on in the podcast. It's very important so that you can internalize something, internalize the things that you need on these conversations so that you can be efficient with these conversations. So you're not just like, all right, cool. Well, how old is the roof? It's like, nah, bro, we gotta be very, very efficient with these conversations. And in the beginning, that's how you're gonna be. You're going to be like, oh, well, so how old is the roof? And you're going to go through it. You're gonna learn a process, and over time, that process will get internalized. This takes time, but it takes you to learn a process for one. Like you gotta have somebody teach you like a 1 through 10 type of process, so that you know the questions to go ask and you know the information that you need to go give to people. So that has to be taught. You simply just get that by signing up for a mentorship or finding a process on YouTube or signing up for sales training or whatever it is. Like that information is just out there. You take that information and you start implementing it. And then over the course of 6 months, call it, that process gets internalized. And now you don't even realize that you are using a process, right? In the beginning, you're going to be like, okay, well, let me look up at my whiteboard. Actually, in the beginning, when I was learning sales, I had a process on my whiteboard. Whenever I would get stuck, I would just look up at the whiteboard and be like, oh crap, I got to ask the budget questions, right? I'm stuck. Where do I go? All right, ask the budget questions. And that's what would help me. And over time, that just got internalized. And now I'm able to be efficient and be 10 steps ahead of the seller. And I already know what the heck I'm going to ask 10 minutes before I ever even ask it, so that a call that could go hour and 30 minutes only goes 30 minutes, or a call that I know I'm only going to have 10 minutes, I'm able to get 30 minutes worth of conversation and questions answered in that 10 minutes. So that's why that's so important. And these processes are very simple. Say, hey, here's the questions that you need to go ask. Here's the information that you need to go get. Go ahead and do it. Now, the third category is the sales tools. This is where you're kind of bringing all the things. This is where things get fun. You're able to use these sales tools in order to make it easier for yourself to go get the process from the seller, to go ask the questions, to go be 10 steps ahead of the seller, to make sure that that you have all these tools in your tool belt so that you're equipped so the job is much easier. Think about this. If you only have a hammer, a screwdriver, and a nail gun, and you're trying to build a house, it's going to be kind of tough. You need all the tools, right? You need a whole van worth of tools. You need multiple contractors. You need all these different things. You need ladders. You need hammers. You need jackhammers. You need cables. You need like all these things. You need all the things, not just a couple tools. So that's all the sales tools are. The sales tools are used so that you can be equipped to get the job done more efficiently. Tools allow you to get the job done in a more professional manner. They allow you to get it done the correct way so that you don't have to break integrity, right? If you're trying to hammer something down with just a regular hammer, but really it's a big nail that is going to take a sledgehammer, it's going to take you forever, one, but two, the nail isn't going to be sunken in as much, right? Like you need specific tools. And these sales tools, just to name a couple, it's like pausing at the right times. One cool one that I really like. While I'm on an appointment, I don't even do this on purpose now. It just like naturally happens. I did it on purpose in the beginning, but then it just kind of like transitions to be for it to naturally happen. But I'll be on an on-site appointment, and you know how people will mirror somebody over the phone? Like you'll say something like, the seller will say, oh, well, yeah, I would just like market price for the property. And you need them to elaborate on it. You might say, market price. Now they're going to give you what that market price is. That's what mirroring is. Mirroring is like, hey, they say something and I just simply say it back to them so that they can elaborate on it. I'll do the same thing. Look, I'm telling y'all, these freaking people will not stop. Anyways, should we answer it? Hello? 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 Yeah, who's this?
Manny Brown.
Yep. How can I help? These people stink. You know what I'm saying? They had me. Oh man. So yeah. One cool thing. Oh, this is what I was gonna say. While I'm on an appointment, that's mirroring like over the phone, right? But what I'll do is I'll mirror people's body. What do you call that?
Body language.
Body language. Thank you. I'll mirror somebody's body language on the appointment. So if they're sitting there like at their chair with their hands crossed and their legs crossed or something like that, like just naturally I kind of go do the same thing. And it makes the seller feel comfortable because it's like it's a similarity thing, but it's just tools like that that help you through the process, that make the process much easier and makes it much more efficient. And we use those tools to make our lives much easier, just like you would with building a house. So let's open it up for Q&A. Brennan, what do you think, bro?
I was just looking up for another word for, because yeah, to your point, for a second I was thinking tools like a CRM, but you're talking about more. I don't want to use the word tactic, but it's more like it's a tactic you use. The pausing, the mirroring, you know,
Mm-hmm. The tools.
think of a better word than tactic.
They're tools, bro. It's the same thing like having a tool belt.
Mm-hmm.
Tools are created to make our lives easier. And that's all tools are made for in our sales process. They're made to make the sales process much easier and much more efficient. Alrighty, gang. Happy 4th of July weekend, everybody. If nobody has any questions, we're gonna hop up on out of here. If y'all do have some questions, feel free to unmute and ask away. Brendan, we got some things to work on later, or what?
Yeah, let's go wrap up that deal in Palmer.
Oh yeah, we do have to work on that one. Yeah, dude, we have a lot of offers out right now. We gotta get some things. I don't know what it is, but this time of year, over the past 2 years, have been the best time of the year in our business. I don't know what it is. Like July and August, kind of going into September a little bit. Like if I look back on the last 2 years, we have the most contracts in these 2 months. So let's take advantage of that.
Like it. How about this? Yeah, another word for tools are instruments. So like the pausing and the mirroring would be instruments. That's the word I was trying to think.
Instruments. I like that. Alrighty, love it. All right, gang. Well, for those of you who we still have 50% off of BluePrint for the rest of the weekend. So I'm gonna put that in the side chat for anybody that's interested.
Gina just added something.
Big PCS time for military. What is PCS?
I don't know why I couldn't mute. It's permanent change of station. So this time of year is huge for relocation assignments.
Interesting.
I didn't know that.
Oh, that's actually a wow.
Why didn't Felipe tell us that?
So this time of year, people are getting stationed in like different parts of the country, maybe different parts of the world.
Yes. Yep.
So there's
This
a
is like a huge time.
wow. So there are a lot of people that are just kind of getting up and lifted from their properties. They might have bought a property with a VA loan like a year or two ago, and now all
Yeah.
of a sudden they just got to dip out.
Yep. It's usually about 2 years. That's huge for officers. They pretty much rotate every couple years. And then active duty is just about every 4. But this time of year for all branches, huge, huge movement, whether it's
Mm.
from the United States overseas or just within the United States. But yeah, this is huge time. So that's probably why every year, the last so many years, it's been kind of a constant. Makes sense.
That does make a lot of sense. That does make a lot of sense. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but July and August have been very good months historically.
Does this equate to more deals for you, Gina?
So I have only been wholesaling for this past year, but I mean, I was in the military, so
Oh, nice.
it just meant a lot of shifting, I guess, in my life and years in the past.
Mm.
Thank you for your service. Which branch?
I was in the Air Force.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was great for my real estate because I would use my VA loan, have a house built, live in it for a year,
Mm-hmm.
turn it into a rental property, move, had another house built, kind of like rinse and repeat. So
That is very cool. Very smart.
Love it. So did you hang on to those?
yeah, I have two left over. I sold off other ones in the past, but you can have more than one VA loan at a time, and a lot of people don't even know that.
Yeah.
It just goes off of entitlement, but that's why I
Right.
became so savvy with a VA loan.
Ooh, that's good. That's a superpower to have.
Yeah, yeah.
That is.
It's remarkable how many people that are in the military that I speak to that don't even know, you know,
Mm-hmm.
what they could do with a VA loan. It's really interesting. Or people that are even, do know about a VA loan, but still don't know, that it goes off of your entitlement, and the entitlement is based upon the county in which you're trying to purchase the property, and there's just a lot.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can help out a lot of people with that, and I'm sure you already do.
I do. Yeah. I try and help out as many, especially where I live now. It's in Colorado Springs, and there's numerous bases. There's Air Force bases, there's Army bases. So just, coming in contact with as many people I do here. That's why I started up Veteran Ventures, which is the real estate company that I started up here
Oh, that's
in
dope.
Colorado. Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, that is
Yeah,
really,
so
really
that,
cool.
and then also I think just because children are out of school, so if there's like relocation, it's typically probably going to happen in this month, specifically July, August timeframe before kids go back to school. So
Mm-hmm.
that's probably another reason why home sales would be so good, even when people say that the market's slow, you know what I mean?
Yep, and it's interesting because historically over the past few years, the months after that have been pretty low. Like
Yeah.
November, December. I mean, the holidays come up, but we got to take advantage of it. We got to make sure that
Yeah.
you really hammer down, because if there are some slow seasons, businesses go up and down like all the time, but you got to be able to withstand the storms. So when there
For
are
sure.
when there are times of like some some fruitful seasons, you got to take advantage of them.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, no, and again, thanks for all you do, you both of you. It's every time I hop on these calls, I gain so much great information. So
Let's go. We appreciate you, Gina.
Yeah, thank you, Gina.
We appreciate you. And I'm gonna catch y'all later. If y'all need me, y'all know where to find me. Peace.